This is Mr. Reeks, and my video today is on meiosis. If you haven't already seen my video on mitosis, I recommend you go and watch that right now so that you can compare meiosis to mitosis, because it's a lot easier to learn about meiosis once you know about mitosis. So the first thing I'm going to say is, remember my way of remembering mitosis and meiosis last time in the last video I showed you? Mitosis is in mitose. Mitosis is a way that all of your cells can make new versions of themselves, new copies of themselves. And so I've said that mitosis is in mitose, and it's also in the rest of your body. It's whenever you're repairing or growing any part of you that's making more cells in that way, is doing it by mitosis. Meiosis is in myovaries. Of course, that would be true if I wasn't a male, but if I was female, meiosis would be in my ovaries. That's my way of remembering that instead of just making cells the normal way like mitosis does, this is all about making sex cells. Meiosis makes sex cells. So in males it makes sperm, in females it makes eggs. So in females it takes place in your ovaries, not my ovaries, in a female's ovaries. And in males, this is only taking place in the testes. These are the objectives for this video. This is what I hope you'll be able to do by the end of the video. First, I'm hoping that you will be able to state, that just means say, that meiosis produces genetically unique cells with half the normal number of chromosomes. I'm hoping that as well, the higher level one is for you to be able to outline the main steps in meiosis. Unlike mitosis, the only types of cell that meiosis can produce are sex cells. These are otherwise known as gametes. That is the scientific term for a sex cell. So there are two types of gametes. There are sperm and there are eggs. So eggs are the female gamete, sperm are the male gamete, and the most important thing about sperm and eggs is that both of them have only half the normal number of chromosomes. That's really important. Inside this sperm, there are only 23 chromosomes in a human sperm. In other animals it might be different, but that is the same in the eggs. There's only 23 chromosomes, and that's so important because when they come together, when that sperm fertilizes that egg, goes in here and the sperm actually enters the egg, what you get in the end is a cell that is fertilized, and it will have the full number 46. That was 23 plus 23. 46 chromosomes inside this nucleus. And of course that is the number that a human being needs. That is the standard number of chromosomes in a human being's cell. And so this fertilized egg cell would be able to become a human being. So how do you make a sperm and egg cell that need to have 23 chromosomes when the rest of your body cells, whether they're skin cells like the one I've shown up here, or nerve cells, they've all got 46 chromosomes in them? How do you make cells that have half the normal number of chromosomes? Well, that's what meiosis is all about. It basically is very similar to mitosis, but it has an important difference that results in the cells not only having half the normal number of chromosomes, but also it makes each individual sperm and egg cell different to every other one. It makes them unique. Do you remember in mitosis? In mitosis, you started off with a cell, and here I'm just representing a human cell, but with way fewer chromosomes, because I couldn't be bothered to draw out all 46 chromosomes. So I've just done it with 4 chromosomes here to show how it worked. And in the last video I showed you that the chromosomes double up their DNA first. Before they do any kind of splitting, or before the cell is ready to divide, it first doubles up all its DNA. It doubles the amount of DNA in each chromosome and makes them look like these little X's. Actually what that is a 2-armed chromosome, and each arm has identical DNA. Then the cell splits in half, and each chromosome splits in half as well, and half of it goes one way, half goes the other way. But because it had already doubled up its DNA, it means you end up with the right amount of DNA and the right number of chromosomes in both of the resulting cells. If that was a bit fast for you, re-watch the last video I did on mitosis and double check that. Because this next part is how mitosis is different. Here's how meiosis is different to mitosis. I'm going to go through it step by step so that you can outline the main steps. Firstly, I've tried to show this is a normal cell. It's got the normal number of chromosomes. I've shown 4, but in a human cell that would be 46. And this cell is ready to make some sperm or egg cells. This is how it works. Firstly, exactly the same thing happens as in mitosis. It doubles up all its DNA. So instead of chromosomes being single-stranded, they're now double-stranded. It's the same number of chromosomes, 4, except that each one has double the normal amount of DNA inside it. The next bit that happens is totally different to mitosis, and it's because of the fact that these chromosomes line up together, and because they're so close together, actually what happens is that some of them end up swapping some of their genetic material. I've tried to show it here with red ones swapping with black ones, so you've got some DNA from one chromosome ending up on a different chromosome. You don't actually need to be able to talk about this at GCSE. The reason I'm including it in the video is that it really is the only way of understanding why you get unique cells at the end, and you'll see why. So that is the first part of meiosis. This term is called crossing over. You learn about it at A level. And all that's happened so far is that chromosomes have accidentally, or on purpose, depending on how you look at it, they've swapped over some of their DNA. And so we've now got 4 quite different chromosomes to what we had before. The next thing that happens is that these chromosomes do not get split apart like they do in mitosis. They don't get split apart like in mitosis. They actually end up 2 of them going to one cell and 2 of them going to the other. We're talking about entire chromosomes here, whole chromosomes, just moving into 2 separate cells. So this cell is literally splitting in half. 2 of the chromosomes are going here, 2 of the chromosomes are going here. And so this is where it's suddenly very different to mitosis, because we've now got cells that have half the normal number of chromosomes. These are no longer representing cells with 46 chromosomes in them. They're representing cells that only have 23. They've got half the normal number, shown here as only having 2 compared with the original 4 chromosomes. So this was a very strange part. This is one of the things that makes meiosis so interesting. From this point onwards, exactly the same thing happens to the cell as in mitosis. And what's going to happen is they're going to split again, because at the moment these chromosomes have double the amount of DNA in each one that they should do. And so all that happens is they split again. This cell ripped itself in 2, and each chromosome got ripped in 2, and it resulted in these 2 just here. This cell did exactly the same. Notice as well, none of these cells are exactly the same as each other, and that's all because of the slight swapping of genetic material that happened over here. They've now each ended up with kind of unique chromosomes that have unique genes on them, unique DNA. All of these, if they ended up being sperm, let's say in a man, sperm, 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 all of these sperm are different to each other. This is why brothers and sisters end up being different to each other despite having the same parents. Finally, just look how this compares to mitosis. For me, this is a nice easy way of kind of trying to understand it. If mitosis was this simple, it was each chromosome doubling up its DNA, and then they each get pulled so that there are a whole set of chromosomes in both of those cells. Notice that it's the last part of meiosis that's really, really similar. It's just that by the time it got to this point, which kind of lines up with this bit here in mitosis, by the time it got to this point, it had already divided once. So the key thing about meiosis is that it actually involves 2 cell divisions. It divided here, and then it divided again over here. These cells split into 2 as well. In mitosis, there was only 1 division, and there wasn't any of this wacky crossing over where DNA was swapped. So all of these chromosomes, none of them swapped any DNA, and what you ended up with was 2 identical cells. In meiosis, we ended up with unique cells, each of which has half the normal number of chromosomes. I hope that you think that I have met these objectives today. Hopefully you can state that meiosis produces genetically unique cells with half the normal number of chromosomes, and hopefully you can outline the steps in meiosis. If you're unsure, go back and watch the video and take a few notes about the simple steps that were involved to make one cell become 4 cells each with half the normal number of chromosomes, and each of them is unique, and that's why brothers and sisters are not identical to each other. They've each got unique DNA. It's all because of meiosis.